I'm not above unbelievably great deals. Turtles. So this, as far as I am aware, is the Loyal Subjects Comic-Con exclusive TMNT IDW Nickelodeon Turtles. And they're pretty sick. I haven't got to open them. I saw a couple people that got them back a while back. I did not get them. Such is the nature of the beast. As I said before, and I'll say it probably 1,000 times more, you spend $20 here, you can't spend $20 here. But every now and then, a deal jumps out that shocks you. And today, well, rather, Sunday, I was out shopping, doing my regular shopping. Shop at a couple of stores. One of them just happened to be a Walmart. I was waiting for the next store to open and had about a half an hour to kill. So I decided I would roam around before I bought the cold stuff, put it in the car, and go finish what I was doing. Makes sense. Hey, we all live adult lives. That's what I was doing. When it hit me, since I was there, I'll check the video games. Not that I'll necessarily buy anything, but I also wanted to check the movies because I did have an idea with the movies. I was hoping that by some random chance, maybe I would come across the Thundercats series, the complete series, original 80s series, and I would buy it to give it a shot. Never seen it, always been mildly curious. I figured why not? Didn't have it. Doesn't bother me. I'll get it on Amazon at some point someday. So I'm roaming around, looking at stuff, when all of a sudden, I see this. I think it's pretty cool. I open it. I think it's pretty cool. I say, that's awesome. And just like the video game Foot Soldiers that I found a while back, I assume that it's a $100 thing, and I put it back. But then a price tag catches my eye. $20. And I say, there's no way. So I pick it up again, and I start looking. And I look down at the tag, and I read the tag, and I look at this, and I read all the information that I can find on the box, and I look at the tag again, and I look at the box, and I'm kind of going back and forth, and then I find another tag, which is also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is $15. And now, I can't help but notice that I can't find another tag. Every tag over here that is labeled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is on sale. Massive clearance. This thing was labeled was $85, now $20. And I finally say to myself, if this is real, I can't pass it by. Right? Look, I've talked about this many times before. We only have the space we have. We only have the money we have. But for as careful as I am about most of the stuff that I try to acquire to put on the shelf, I don't just try to buy like 100 knick-knack things like, oh my god, I did a huge pickup today and look at all this stuff that I got that I'm never going to do anything with. Not interested in that. But I like Ninja Turtles. I do collect Ninja Turtles, though I'm pretty careful as to what waves I buy into. And I skip a lot of waves that I would even want. Like, I've seen many turtles that I say, man, that would be cool. I want that. But $100, $80, like $34 a figure, I don't know. And then I don't get them. I'm fairly careful about buying Ninja Turtles. In fact, in terms of the waves that I currently have on my shelf, I have, and let me just look back to the shelf here, I have the original Playmates, the 2013 Ninja Turtles, and the movie Turtles, and I'm beginning the Ultimates line that are based more on the original Playmates Turtles. That's the only ones I want. Every time I buy into a Ninja Turtle line, I have a rule. Turtles, Splinter, Shredder. That's it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm done after that point. If I come across something else that really seems worth it, like I gotta hand it to them, I'm kind of interested in the Bebop and Rocksteady based on the Playmates figures in the Ultimate line, maybe April, maybe Casey, maybe One Foot Soldier. I'll admit, I have enough interest that I could buy into that line at $600-700 deep. It would not surprise me if I found a bunch of stuff in that line that I liked like that. But my general rule is stay focused. Turtles, Splinter, Shredder. Done. After that, I can worry about going further if I ever choose to go further in said lines. I did read a large chunk of the current IDW Turtles, and I liked them a lot. I was subscribed from somewhere around like book 36, and then read way up. I mean, it was like really far. It was all the way up into a point where the like a lot of stuff had happened. I'd already read through all like the City at War and different things like that, and I was all the way up to a point where the little girl turtle, the little white one, went like into the future or something. Is she pink? Colorblind issues. Sometimes I see her as white, sometimes I see her as like a pink color. It's hard for me to determine sometimes. Regardless, she goes into the future and then like she comes back and she's an adult and she's got the time scepter and everything like that. So I got really far in that. I read a lot of those books. I really enjoyed these Turtles. I thought it was a fantastic take on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Not my favorite. I prefer them to be animals that get transformed more than I prefer them to be humans that get transformed, more than I prefer them to be reincarnation type of things, more than I prefer them to be the rat was actually Hamato Yoshi. You get the idea. I like the animals that are transformed more the original concept idea. I tend to like that more for what it's worth. But I can't deny that if there are a set of Turtles that would have been fantastic for the shelf that I have a lot of decent history with, it had to be the IDW Turtles. And I found them, and they were $20 for all 4 of them in a big, crazy exclusive pack with a really cool color scheme, which will actually help them stand out against all the green machine. Look. They had my attention, I had to do it. Let's look at this thing. Here we are. The box. Pretty simple. It's got excellent artwork, which very much reminds me of like a video game picking screen or something like that. That choo, 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 choo. In fact, I kind of love, like offhand, really love these kinds of spreadsheet animations with like the Turtles. I just think that they are a group that works really well for this and really lends itself. I don't know if it's just the idea of the ninjas, the slash idea, or if it's a combination of the fact that they're kind of monsters, or also the idea that each one kind of lends themselves to a color, which also kind of really brings everything out, you know, because blue, orange, purple, red, it really works for me. I really love these kinds of things when I see them in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, in the back, We have an entire, we have a group shot. I'm trying to get the glare off of there as best I can. And the group shot, of course, has a little bitty idea up here in case for some reason somehow you don't know what they are. Straight from the pages of TMNT IDW Comics with custom artwork from Mateus Santa, I think it's Santaloco? Santaloco? I'm really bad with names, so I'm trying not to butcher his name, but it's his artwork. So it does have to be said that that's where they're getting the idea for these IDW turtles specifically. And by the way, these are fantastic turtles. I really do like them. And I don't know if this came as a hand down from like Nickelodeon, if they were told that they kind of have to be designed this way or what, but to me, they kind of feel like a cross between the original comic book Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the 2013 Turtles that I really liked animation-wise. And because they're kind of interblended with the original Turtles, they got a more serious-looking nature to them, while also still being very approachable in certain scenes in the comic books, because they kind of mend back and forth as to how great they really do look or work with each other. Like, they can look like this, look very menacing and cool, and then at the same time putting their pupils back in their eyes and allowing them to kind of have human moments it just works so well in the comics. It actually impresses me. I like it a lot. So, for what it's worth, this is great for inbox collectors because it is one of those things that you can just open up. You got all the turtles right here. You got this really good art splash right here, which is more of a photography of the actual figures. And then you got all this detail words over here and everything. Incredible sculpt detail with tons of accessories and 31 points of articulation, so on and so forth. Really good. Here's something that I'm digging. And I mean, I really, really like it. At first, when I seen them, way back before I encountered this deal, I remember seeing them and saying to myself, do I like them? I don't know. Maybe if they were like the actual colors. I don't know about the black and white. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping over here. I don't know about the black and white. But then it hit me. They're not black and white. They're grays, they're noir, they're rough, and it really hit me hard all of a sudden. These guys here, they're not necessarily just black and white, not necessarily just grayscale television effect, not necessarily just, how do I put this, not necessarily just noir. They're Sin City color scale. They're all that grayscale with one defining color feature that kind of shocks them out. You know what I mean? Kind of really pushes them and you notice that your eyes are drawn to it. Their bandanas are harsh colors. They really pop out and attack you, while the rest of them are subdued in these grays for the kind of world that they live in. This makes me feel like these are straight up Sin City Turtles. And wow, am I on board with that. That is really, 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 really cool. Let's open these. There's a lot to look at. So there is a lot going on here. I mean, you got a lot with these turtles. So I'm going to try to take them out one at a time and talk about each turtle. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm hoping to do here. There is a set of cards that this seems to have come with. And they're pretty cool from what I can tell. We got a Mike right here, so we got Mikey. We got Leo, my favorite, by the way. Donnie and Raph. Very solid. Cool cards, actually. I'm not really a card collecting guy. I'll put them to the side for right now for what it's worth. I don't know what I'll end up honestly doing with them. Cards is not my thing anymore. I got out of that a long time ago, and I don't ever really plan to get back into it. But, so, One thing I like about this, that's all we got to worry about. You pull that off, everything is exposed and ready for you to just kind of go in there and grab it. I like that. You know that about me right now if you've been here long enough. If you're new, I don't like all the twisty tie crap. I'd rather just be able to take off the top and then take the stuff out. If you're going to go through the trouble of just making the plastic coffin, just make them fit in it, and don't do a bunch of other, don't put all the twisty ties and everything on top of it. It's just not necessary, in my opinion. So I'm going to start with my first turtle because I'll be most critical with the one that I like the most. So I'll get Leonardo out with all of his stuff. All right, so here we go. Now, Leo's just one turtle and he comes with a lot of stuff. He comes with these two smaller katanas. Maybe they're called tantos. I'm not 100% sure as to what they're referred to as. He has a different head, and this is what I was talking about. This other head is the friendlier-esque head. It actually has pupils. It's a little more relaxed. He's kind of sitting there. He's kind of got still kind of about a scowl about him or whatever. He looks serious, but he looks a little more approachable, and that's something that I was talking about when I was talking about the turtles in general. He comes with this wild-esque hand right here that's already on the figure. I don't know what this pose is. Maybe that's specifically for holding the swords. It would make the most sense anyway, but it's a wild hand, man. It's just wildly spaced, but the thumb kind of goes in the two. But I guess if you're really stopping and thinking about it, because of the way their hands are, maybe that does make sense. You know what I mean? He also has these hands right here, more open expression hands. And then he has more traditional closed fist hands, which might be used for the smaller blades, realistically. He also has two different bandana pieces, but I don't think there's any real difference between the two. I think this is just so you have one for each head. Realistically, anyways, I'm not seeing that one is longer than the other. I'm not seeing necessarily that one is heavy different than the other. They seem about the same idea to me. But look at this. That is really cool, right? I think this is fantastic. I like the black here for the wraps. It really just, it kind of pushes it. It forces your eyes to very specific parts of the figure. I like the black, and I really like that blue. That's cool. And the rest of it being this gray scale color, it's just really solid. Now the swords are of course in the sheaths. That is a pretty good sword. It's colored silver. It works for me. The inside has the little diamonds, which are also colored silver. Everything about this works for me. I'm happy with this. I have no reason to complain about what I'm seeing here, in all honesty. Like, it really works. His back right here. So let's get a good look. Let's get a good look at his shell and everything. We have some battle damage, like right here. The belt and everything seems like it's solid. There's some good detail right here. Let me fix that. There's some good detail right here. The way it separates. The skin texture is nice on this turtle. Like, it just works. I'm sorry, I keep losing the focus here. There's a lot of damage on the front, so you could tell that he must be very careful about never turning his back to the enemy, because there is small damage on his back, scratches and whatnot, but not to the extent that it is in his front. His front looks like he's taken hits direct on. He's good about keeping his front to the enemy, and being that he would be very, very skilled, I believe this. He has arm guards, which make, like forearm guards, which makes a lot of sense for him, because of course he's a swordsman. I like that. We're looking at the double elbow here, which works really well from what I'm seeing. He can literally put like a phone all the way up to his head. He can kind of scratch the back of his head. He could probably take all kinds of like movements and stuff like that. How does this move? It's hard for me to tell, but I want to say that this can go this way and this way. I'm not going to force it though. I have seen a review, and I don't remember who this was, but I saw a review of one of these. And he started moving them, and he broke them. So I'll admit to wanting to be a little careful. He does not have knee pads, which is interesting, but that's cool, because it means that every single one of these guys has stuff that's their own. You know what I mean? We got a decent twist here. We got really good butterflies. As far as I can tell, these are made very well. I'm not having any problem with the feet. They got good rock and everything. The knee, he can kick his own shell. He can do it. Leo is one of those guys that can kick his own shell. Give him the congratulations. He can do it. His legs, like there's a lot of muscle definition, gnarly muscle definition. And for what it's worth, he stands fantastically. The coolest part about Leo. And first off, let's get that bandana plugged in, shall we? I want to get that on there. There, I got the bandana plugged in. It looks like there's movement here. Even when you get it plugged in, it seems like it moves pretty well. So that's cool. I'm going to pull this sword. And I want to try to put it in his hand, but I want to be careful. Push it down in there. I don't want to bend that sword. It feels like the blade part would be not so prone to, like, don't push on that blade. I didn't do it. I was careful, but I can feel it. The blade is thin, which is fine because you don't want it to be like ridiculous, right? But it's noticeable. Don't force the sword. I had a feeling about that before I ever touched him, and I'm glad I did, because yeah, I can tell right off the bat that if you force that blade, you would probably break that blade. So I'm going to be careful here. I'm going to get it in his other hand, and then we will come back and talk about it. So here we got him. I got both of them in there. He's doing good. He's looking good. And I got these. And these, as far as I could tell, they just slip over the top of the blades. And they are action movement effects. Look at that. That is really cool, actually, because you could get that kind of like where it's kind of like where this is swinging up this way already, and this one's already come down. That's really cool. That is really cool. Or you could very much just have him like basically bringing both down like this. I kind of love this. These effects are really solid. They're really cool. I don't force them all the way down. They do not go all the way down as far as I could tell. But that's fine. They don't need to. They've more than done their job. That is really sick. That's awesome. As far as I'm concerned, from what I'm feeling, he's a pass. I like him a lot. Next turtle. Now for the turtle that when I was growing up I liked the most, Raphael. Yes, I have changed dramatically over the years. For a while, when I was younger, for sure, Raphael was easily my all-time favorite turtle at that time. He was the guy, man. I thought he was the coolest. He didn't take no shit. He was brash. Like, he was the guy that I was always like, man, I wish I could just tell somebody off, you know? Like, it was so cool. Like, he was the guy that I liked the most at the time. Not anymore, I'll say. Now, this time I did pull the hand off because I wanted to show you... this isn't moving, but it does move, like I said, it moves this way and this way, not this way and this way. But it's tight. I mean, that is unreasonably tight to the point where these guys should probably get the hairdryer, in all honesty. These guys should probably get the hairdryer before they get the seriousness. But what I'm gonna do here, because this is the same thing, he has the same kind of posability that we saw, but he's bigger, and he's noticeably bigger. You see that? That's actually cool. I like that. Let me clear that up real quick. He is easily bigger than Leonardo. Every single turtle got a different body. They didn't just reuse the sculpts, and let's congratulate loyal subjects on that, because we have seen many times where these Ninja Turtles, especially things like Playmates and whatnot, would just release the same body sculpt 4 times with different weapons. Some of those Walmart exclusives are horrendously bad about that. And it's not just them, it's other companies too. I prefer the turtles to be mildly different between all 4 turtles. Not just their heads. They should feel different from turtle to turtle. That's something that's embraced into their personalities nowadays. Excuse me, and that's something that should come through in figure form. The 2 bandanas, he gets the same thing. The 2 tail bandanas, once again, as far as I could tell, look relatively the same. You could argue that maybe there's a little bit of difference, but they look relatively the same. I'm going to plug it into the back of his head here. There it is. So he has that bandana. And the reason I haven't given him his hand back yet is because he's got this hand, which I like a lot. So Raph came with the hand that holds the sai in the cool way, right? I'm almost 1,000% sure that that's what's going on here. I think that if you get that sai in there, and I didn't do it 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's what this is. I think that you can wrap that around here. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it feels like. That feels like that's what that is that hand. I'm probably going to have to mess with it, maybe even get the hairdryer to guarantee so I don't... The size thicker, it feels much more sturdy than the sword, but I still wouldn't want to chance the idea that maybe I break it or whatever. You know what I mean? The regular hand, I'm not too worried about. I'm sure that it just goes right like that, or... Oh my... It doesn't have solid grip. That's not good grip at all, which makes me wonder, is this for these? No. Okay, either way, that's a problem. That hand is bad. It doesn't hold crap. Like, we're just going to take that hand out. That makes this hand and this hand the hands that I'm going to use. This grip hand and this grip hand seem like crap to me. Like, this just is really open. This doesn't seem as open. That's a little different too. All these hands are very different. So we have like an expression hand here, okay, which is fine. And then we have this hand that's really open. This hand that's more closed, which could actually hold a sai. This hand that's kind of wild. And these 2, which hold the sai in the cool way. At least I'm pretty sure that's what this is supposed to be. So, with all that considered, I'm going to mess around with these hands for a minute and get the weapons in his hands. Oh, also, before we cut, he does have the more relaxed head. Like, it is still mean, but it has the pupils, and it looks like they could just be standing around, you know, talking. It's a little more human-esque head. His human-feeling features or whatever to it. I'm going to mess with this for a minute. Okay, so that was hard. Get out your blow dryer, kids. Get out your hair dryer. Get out the blow dryer, because them hands, they do not have a lot of give, okay? So get them out. You gonna need them. Like, holy crap, that was tough. I have been off camera for the last, like, 15 minutes, because I know that because I literally had a YouTube video playing, which is like 10 best X-Men games or whatever, just kind of like background noise while I was messing with that. That was rough. But, for what it's worth, we got a lot of detail here. I really like this hand, even though that was a real pain. I mean, that was hard to do, okay, guys? That right there, that was not easy. It was a real pain, but I like this. I really like this. So I could do something kind of like this now. And for what it's worth, he came with these throwing stars. And he has a belt. I know that throwing star didn't come out very well on camera. He has a belt which you can push these in. And I wouldn't call these perfect, but it is a cool idea that it was included at all. Like, here, I'm get them all in there. You could push them down in there. And see, that one already fell out. I mean, those two feel solid. This one, not so much. And there's not a lot that you can do about it if one of them doesn't feel solid. But there, I got it. See, I got it. I wouldn't call that perfect. I'd call that almost a work in progress. Like maybe next time they'll know to make the stars a little bigger. Maybe they'll change the way that the belt is done. Because the belt really just kind of is like a hangover thing. It's not... You see what I'm getting at? It's not really an issue. Sorry, yeah, the belt is like a hangover. You see what I mean? It just kind of hangs. Yeah. But it works for what it's worth. And he has little bits of battle damage and whatnot, but almost like I could see cracks on his back. The camera does not want to focus on him, but I could see cracks on his back. It's cool. If you wanted, he could bring these Tonfa things with him into battle, so you could have all his weapons on him. He could hold two, and then he could carry the Tonfas with him into battle, which is pretty cool. This is a cool figure. It is a really cool figure. I do like it, even though I experienced a little bit of difficulty with it. The only thing I will say is that his bulk seems to be a slight hindrance, or he seems a little loose in the knees and things like that, but I don't really think it's all that big of a deal. Like, you could tell I'm having no problem getting him to stand up and whatnot and take, like, a pose and everything, and I was able to get this sigh, which I really like this. I just think that's such a cool effect, and so now I can have him kind of like this, where he's got this one turned in, and he's got this one turned up, almost like a Wolverine type of thing. And it's cool. Like, that is a really solid look for a Raphael. I'm not going to complain about that. That's really solid. That's really cool. There he is right back there with his brother Leo. And this is the way that I always... Oh, no. Oh, no. No. Like, I always kind of envisioned this idea that, like, that Raph and Leo... They're basically and I guess I want to say like the A-team or whatever. Like, maybe that's not fair to the other two turtles, but I feel like there was always a connection between Raph and Leo that Mikey and Donnie then shared. And the other brothers, they all love each other. They're all brothers. But there's something to be said that Leo and Raph stand together and Donnie and Mike stand together more often than not, is the way that I've always kind of pictured it. And... for what it's worth, now we are going to move on to the next turtle, Donnie. Now on to Donatello. Now Donatello, he's the skinniest but tallest of the group. I really like that. I like his belt because he's got like extra pouches and whatnot that the other guys don't really have in the same frequency. He does have knee pads, which I think is cool. He's already kind of stood out and a little different. And by the way, like, you'll notice they didn't have elbow pads. They had the arm guard, the arm wraps or whatnot. He has arm wraps, but they're not the same color. And he has the traditional elbow pads and knee pads that the old turtles used to have. I like how he's skinny and lean, almost like Bruce Lee muscle. You know what I'm talking about? Like, we got that super serious, like, angry face here, but it's like, it's tiny. Like, there is something to be said. I like that he's kind of geeky. He's super, like, I like him to be skinny, and I like him to be tall, but I like him to still maintain the fierceness that his brothers have, and I feel like he can do it. His extra head is kind of more, kind of happy a little bit. He's kind of like, hey guys, like I think I found something out, guys. Like, that's cool. I really like it. He does come with this really cool fist here that he can equip and then punch with and everything like that, which I think is cool. He did come with expression hands. Right there. And he also came with these. He came with a straight up fist, which I honestly believe is for this. And then he also came with this this hand here, which is kind of a wild thing. Kind of it's just a wild looking pose here, as well as he has the standard hands that are more grip hands, which I'm assuming is for the bow staff, which of course for me, I know the robot hand thing is cool. Donnie is simpler. He's simpler to me. I find Donnie to be the super intelligent guy, but when I like him with the bow staff. I'm traditional in that way. I would prefer him to always have his bow staff rather than not have his bow staff. Like, no matter how many times you give him cool robot weapons and cool extra things, and it's just, for me, Donnie is coolest. Donnie is coolest with his staff, and there's already a problem that I just discovered. I just scratched the paint off of the staff when I did that. Not that it'll hurt too bad. Luckily, the understaff is gray, and since they're kind of like you know what I mean? They're kind of like already this Sin City-esque turtle-looking thing. I'm kind of okay with it. I feel like it'll be all right, but it did happen. It is something that I should point out. He also came with these set of goggles, which I personally prefer on like this head, and they fit really well on this head. So he has these goggles that like you can do something where he's like, you know, he's got a goggles and whatnot, and they're tight enough that you could actually secure them like this if you wanted. That's pretty cool. I think the goggle head I think that personally is the head I would use for the goggles, but yeah, that's really awesome. That's Donatello. I like him for what it's worth. I really think he's cool. Oh my gosh. Give it. Dang, Don. Real question is, oh man, okay. But anyways, I'm going to put him back there because we got to talk about Mikey. Let me just say that right off the bat with Michelangelo, I kind of love both his heads. I love this head right here, which is kind of like a hey, right? Check this out. Look at this. Yes, he's winking and everything. That's awesome. And I also really love this little screaming, ah! Like, he's just so intense, but so neat all at the same time. I really do love that. I think he's great. He is easily the smallest of the turtles, but not just like in terms of being like skinny. He's small. He seems like a kid compared to the other turtles. Like maybe, how do I put this? They're all supposed to be teenagers. They're all like 14, 15 years old. You get the idea? But like, and in fact, if I'm going by movie logic, the original first movie, which by the way, underrated, I would still tell you that the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie is one of the greatest comic book movies ever made in the history of comic book movies. Easily in my top 10 comic book films ever done. I think it's unbelievable. It's an underappreciated masterpiece. I stick by that. And what I'm going to tell you about it is that on that aspect alone, I view all the turtles as about 15 years old. So, as a 15-year-old, he either hasn't hit his growth spurt yet, or maybe he's 13 by some chance. You get the idea? Like, he's just a little younger than the other turtles, so he hasn't really packed on a lot of size or anything like that. It's just, I get the feeling like that sometimes when I look at Mikey. And I like Mikey to be the younger, optimistic heart of the team. You need that. In terms of the Ninja Turtles, when I was growing up, Raphael was my favorite. Then, moving on from there, my favorite turtle became Donatello. I love the smart guys. Egon is my favorite Ghostbuster. But there came a point when for a while, Mikey became my favorite turtle because I was at a point in my life where I just wanted fun. You know what I'm talking? And then, where I am currently in my life, and the way I view things and the way I look at it, Leonardo is my favorite turtle. I identify with Leo. I understand what it's like to try to hold your brothers together. And I understand what it's like to take the brunt of blame for trying to keep your family together and focused. And there's something about Leonardo that over the years I have identified with tremendously. And in a way, with the current fandom night, I could place each turtle. I feel like I identify most with Leonardo. I feel like Raphael identifies most alongside Shane. I feel like, I literally feel like Donatello fits with Nick. There's always something new to like go figure out or have an interest in, or, you know, something like that, or learn a thing, you know what I'm talking about? And not necessarily that he ever necessarily like accomplishes the thing that he's learning because he can't wait to move on to the next thing. Unfocused major intelligence is how I would put it. So, but in a way I identify that to Donatello, because Donatello never becomes a master necessarily in a lot of his ninja arts or the things that he focuses on, because he's always on to the next thing. I find that interesting about Donatello. It's super smart, but not necessarily hyper-focused intelligence. Where Mikey, I put more towards my buddy Seth in Fandom Night. He kind of is the heart. He's the biggest fan of Fandom Night, and he wants it to work, and he cares about it, and when it fails, he worries, and like he loves his family dearly, but he doesn't always get along with them, and he's excited to see something happen that's going to be real, and then sometimes it doesn't quite happen to that extent, and it lets him down. The Turtles really work so well for that entire aspect. I really feel so. So I noticed that this, I think maybe that's for this, but it could also be for these. I don't know about bending these too much. Well, never mind. It doesn't seem like it hurts it too bad. These chains, they don't seem to be like super. It doesn't look like I'm hurting it. You see what I'm talking? He has the sickle things, and then he also has the nunchucks. Mikey with me, you know I'm going to give him the nunchucks, which that's fine. But yeah, his shell is tiny. Like, he's tiny. It's kind of cute, actually. I really enjoy this. I really love it. These are fantastic sculpts, man. These are fantastic sculpts. I'm going to put these nunchucks in Mikey's hands, and then I think we're going to talk. In closing, for me, these are fantastic figures. I saw a couple of different reviews. Some that claimed they were unwieldy, that they didn't hold up. I saw a couple of people in multiple reviews. I think I watched about 6 of these reviews, because when I thought that I wasn't going to get them, I at least wanted to see them, right? I wanted to get an idea. I saw people move them and break the arms off, like just comes right at a socket, because they got like, the way they're held in is they got like the ball joint up here has like a peg here and a peg here, so it doesn't like plug in. It's a little different. I saw people break the arms off. I saw people talk about how they're too stiff, like where they're moving the wrists and everything, and like they pop and crack. And I will say this, the hands, they're supposed to do this, they're tight. They're like very tight, like, and the hands are very like gripped. They're like stuck in place to where, get the hairdryer out, people. Get the hairdryer or boil the little cup of water, because these guys right here, if they don't want to move, they're not moving. And I have a feeling that if you force them, in fact I know if you force them, because I watched like about 9 of these videos where I saw this keep happening, where they were breaking. And so that was another reason why when I seen them, you know, I picked them up and thought they were cool and everything like that. But I kept telling myself, I've seen that these have some problems no matter how cool they look. And then when I seen that they were like $20, I said, what's the worst that happens, right? I mean, right? That it's too good of a deal. And the reviews that I saw where people got them and did like them, they really liked them. So, and I even saw, I even saw one guy who he literally broke one of the swords. and then immediately after that was still like defending them, was still like, I'm telling you, these are really cool, blah, 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 and pointing out all their good points and everything. So, you get where I'm going with this? Like, mine, as far as I could tell, are practically flawless. Yeah, there's little things I could complain about, but not for the price point that I paid. And all the accessories and everything are really solid. Everything about these guys is phenomenal. And they very much give off this vibe of being like, literally, Sin City Turtles, which is just, it's so unique, it's so cool, it's going to look so great sitting over there with all the other turtles. These are fantastic. To anybody that's got them and had a rough go of it, that sucks, I'm sorry. But right now, at least the last time I checked, you could literally get these on, I found mine at Walmart for $20. And then I had a buddy look it up. Like the day after I bought them, I was like, I wonder if you could get these online for that price. And he looked it up and was like, they're selling them for like $22.50. These are incredibly accessible. Mine were great. Other people's have not been, but if you're wanting to take a chance on $20, these ain't going to be around much longer. If they're not already gone. I think they're awesome. I've added them to the shelf. I have no complaints. Later.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.